Why goodness alone will never win the game of power. Have you ever watched someone cheat, lie, or manipulate their way to success and get rewarded for it? We all have. We sit back stunned asking why. Why do people who betray trust, bend the rules, or sever relationships seem to climb higher, faster, and more securely than those who play fair? This isn't just a glitch in the system, it may be the system itself. And no one understood this better than a man named Niccolò Machiavelli. He didn't create the game. He simply exposed its hidden mechanics, ripped off the mask of virtue, and forced us to look at reality, not how it should be, but how it is. And what he found was brutal. Honest men die poor. The kind are trampled. The idealists are forgotten. And the ruthless, they rise, not always, but often enough that we must ask ourselves, what's really being rewarded in this world? I'm not saying we should celebrate cruelty or abandon our morals, but if we're honest, we must admit something deeply uncomfortable. Morality and power often live on opposite sides of the street. The people who climb to the top, the CEOs, the warlords, the emperors, the influencers are often not the kindest or most compassionate. They are strategic, they are calculated, and sometimes they are willing to do what the rest of us won't. That's not an opinion. It's observable history. Machiavelli didn't say be evil. He said if you want to survive in a world full of wolves, you cannot be a sheep. He wrote for rulers, for those who understood that power is not a prize, it's a weapon. And like any weapon, it can be used, misused, or stolen. So I ask you, if you had to choose between being loved and being feared, what would you pick?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Let's imagine a scenario. You're a leader of a small kingdom. A neighboring empire threatens war unless you surrender your land. Your people beg for peace. Your advisors urge diplomacy. But you know that if you appear weak, the vultures will circle. If you delay, your enemies will sense hesitation. If you yield, you'll be devoured. What do? Machiavelli would say, strike first. Show no weakness. Appear virtuous if you must, but always act in your best interest. Because in politics, just as in life, the perception of morality is often more useful than morality itself. That's a bitter truth, but think about it. How many people have you seen succeed by appearing good, while privately doing whatever it takes behind the scenes? In Machiavelli's world, and maybe in ours, success doesn't come from being good, but from being good at appearing good. Here's the paradox. We admire virtue, but we follow strength. We love kindness, but we obey power. That's the dark lesson. Leaders who try to rule only through love are often betrayed. Those who rule only through fear risk rebellion. But those who master both love and fear, who wear the mask of virtue while wielding the tools of force, those are the ones who win. This isn't just about politics. It's about life, the job market, social media, business, even relationships. People respect boundaries when they sense consequences. They listen when they feel compelled. And they follow when they believe you can lead them somewhere better, even if that belief is built on illusion. And that raises a terrifying question. Is it better to be genuine and fail, or to be strategic and succeed? Let me ask you this. If the world rewards ruthlessness, should we all become ruthless to survive? Or is there a third path, one where we understand the rules of power, play the game wisely, but never lose our soul in the process? That's the tightrope we're trying to walk. Because Machiavelli wasn't telling us to become monsters. He was telling us to stop pretending monsters don't exist. He was telling us to understand them, outthink them, and if necessary, outplay them. He was telling us that naivete is not a virtue, that to rise in a broken world we must sometimes make dark alliances with reality. That doesn't mean we abandon empathy. It means we combine it with awareness. Compassion without strategy is vulnerability. Strategy without compassion is tyranny. But together, that's power with wisdom. So here's the question. Can you be both ruthless and righteous? And if not, which would you rather be? How strategic deception defeats raw strength. If you've ever read The Prince, you know Machiavelli spoke of two animals a ruler must emulate: the lion and the fox. The lion represents brute force, courage, and the raw ability to fight enemies head-on. The fox, on the other hand, represents cunning, deception, foresight, and the ability to avoid traps. But here's the catch. Being just a lion gets you killed. Strength alone is predictable, and predictability is a vulnerability. And being only a fox, that too fails, because cleverness without the threat of force lacks enforcement. So Machiavelli's advice is timeless. Be both. Not just strong or smart, but a synthesis of the two. Yet in our world today, it's often the fox who wins. Why? Because we live in an age where perception has more power than reality. You don't need to be strong, you just need to look strong. You don't need to win every battle, you just need people to believe you can't be defeated. Let's bring this into modern life. Think about the corporate world. The CEO who smiles during press conferences, praises company values, and posts motivational quotes may be the same person laying off thousands to inflate quarterly profits. He appears to be the lion, confident, decisive, but rises because he's a fox at heart. He knows how to manipulate optics, control narratives, and hide ruthlessness behind a polished brand. Or take social media. People curate their lives to appear successful, wise, desirable, yet behind the scenes they may be desperate, insecure, or even deceptive. But the illusion works, because most people don't want the truth. They want a version of the truth that comforts or inspires them. The fox knows this. The fox doesn't fight every battle. The fox wins by making others believe the battle has already been lost. Ask yourself, in your own life, are you relying too much on being a lion, trying to muscle through situations? Or are you learning to be a fox, adapting, observing, and moving in silence? But deception isn't always sinister. Sometimes it's strategic. Sometimes it's necessary. Consider this. Are there situations in life where telling the truth will destroy you? Imagine you're negotiating a deal. Revealing everything about your position, your desperation, your weaknesses, will that help you or hurt you? Sometimes concealing your cards is not dishonesty, it's survival. This is where Machiavelli's wisdom becomes both frightening and liberating. He tells us that to navigate a corrupt system, you don't have to become corrupt, but you must understand corruption. If you walk into a game of chess thinking it's checkers, you will lose. So what's more dangerous? Lying to others, or lying to yourself about how the world really works? Deep down, we all know that people who manipulate perception, who know what to say, how to say it, and when to say nothing, tend to rise. And the ones who speak with brutal honesty, who show their cards too early, who play fair in a game that rewards deception, they're often left behind. Not because they weren't good, but because they didn't know the rules. So what should you do with this knowledge? Should you abandon truth? Should you become a fox in a world of prey? Not necessarily. But you must learn the language of power. You must understand that being good is not enough. You must be good and dangerous, honest and strategic, kind and untouchable. Because people don't follow mere goodness. They follow strength cloaked in wisdom. And if you ignore this, you'll spend your life confused, wondering why those with fewer morals keep winning. But if you embrace it, you can rise, not by becoming ruthless, but by refusing to be naive. So I leave you with this question. In the game of life, where every move matters, can you afford to play without knowing what game you're in? Why those who control fear control the world. Fear is the most ancient and primal tool of control. Before language, before laws, before systems of governance, fear ruled. And it still does. But today, it wears a suit. It hides behind policies, branding, media, and polite smiles. Machiavelli understood this long before our modern age. He said it plainly. It is safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Why? Because fear is reliable. Love is fickle. People may love you today and forget you tomorrow. But fear roots itself deep in the psyche. It conditions behavior. It prevents rebellion. And most importantly, it does not require reciprocation. Look at history. Look at politics. Look at your own life. The boss you respect may lose authority if they show too much weakness. But the boss you fear? You double-check every email. You arrive early. You hesitate before speaking. That's control. And control, Machiavelli knew, is the currency of power. But there's a nuance here. It's not about cruelty. It's about perception. You don't have to be a tyrant to be feared. You simply need people to believe there are consequences, that crossing you has a cost, that your boundaries are not suggestions, they are walls. The most powerful people don't raise their voice. They don't need to. Their silence is thunderous. Their disapproval is punishment enough. This is the art of psychological warfare, and it's used everywhere, from boardrooms to breakups, from negotiations to nations. You may not realize it, but you felt its effects. Social hierarchies are built on unspoken fear, fear of exclusion, fear of judgment, fear of retaliation. So here's the deeper truth. Those who can instill fear without appearing fearful themselves, those who can walk calmly while others panic, those are the ones who lead. And Machiavelli wasn't glorifying this. He was warning us. He was saying, if you don't understand how fear works, someone else will use it against you. But how does this apply to us, ordinary people trying to live meaningful, ethical lives? It forces us to confront a brutal question. Are we more afraid of being feared or being forgotten? Many of us shrink ourselves to be liked. We soften our edges to fit in. We avoid hard truths so we don't upset anyone. But in doing so, we erase our own power. We become agreeable, comfortable, replaceable. And then we wonder why no one listens when we speak, or why our boundaries are crossed, or why our potential goes unnoticed. It's because we've mistaken being liked for being respected. But respect isn't born from niceness. It's born from clarity, conviction, and consequence. You don't have to instill terror to hold power. You just have to ensure that your presence carries weight, that your silence is not emptiness, but tension, that your time, your energy, your attention are not given freely, but earned. So here's where we land, the final Machiavellian paradox. Can you wield fear without becoming a tyrant? Can you be respected without being cruel? Can you rise without losing your soul? The answer is not in abandoning morality, but in upgrading it. We must evolve beyond the simplistic dichotomy of good versus evil. The world is more complex than that. Power is not evil. Strategy is not cruelty. And fear, when wielded with wisdom, can be the guardian of your values, not their destroyer. The ruthless rise, not because they are evil, but because they understand the terrain. They read the room. They sense when to strike and when to wait. But you, if you combine the lion's strength, the fox's cunning, and the philosopher's heart, you can rise too. Not by imitating the darkness, but by illuminating it, by walking through it with your eyes open. So I ask you one final question. In a world where fear shapes every decision, will you be the one controlled by it, or the one who understands how to master it?